What's up, everybody? I'm Cameron. This is Patrick. We're brothers that have been playing Magic for over 20 years at this point. You guys have no idea who we are because we've never won any major tournaments, but we have some really cool stuff to talk about when it comes to this really amazing card game that kind of unites us all. So we're starting this particular segment we are calling Cull or Keep. And it's basically us going randomly through our collection of rares, and they are randomized. They're in piles in front of us right now. We're going to lift them up. Patrick's going to introduce one card at a time. We're going to talk about the nostalgic aspects of the cards, when we've played them in certain decks, what they've meant to us in tournament scenes, if at all. And then we're going to decide, are we going to sell it or are we going to keep it for later use in a format that we enjoy playing to this day? So we've got piles for every major color. We have a multicolor pile, we have an artifacts pile, and finally with a land pile, which I think is all of our favorite pile. Right?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get it started.
So remember, we have no idea what these cards are, so this will be as much of a surprise for us as it is to you. So let's start with Story Circle.
Okay. So for those of you guys who've never seen this
Circle?
card, this is from, what edition is this from? The lighting is poor. Sorry, guys.
One of the
we don't have
core
equipment
sets,
yet.
8th edition.
8th edition Story Circle. So what do you remember about this card?
Well, it's kind of like an arbitrary circle of protection. Like it comes into play, you choose a color, and then it acts as a cop. But the mana you have to pay is white as opposed to colorless. And I don't think I ever actually played this card.
I don't think you did, but there was once upon a time, Patrick had a deck, like the very first deck you had. It was Rebels and all 5 cops.
It was exactly.
It was just filled the room with cops.
And you know, it was premonition that I would be a control player. That's right. It's like I had all of the
You had no
cops
choice
I
at
needed.
that point.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so
I have to
do
say the artwork is cool. You got all the colors going on there. He's
Very
just
slick.
whirling all the colors about.
I will say that I have fond memories of this card from dudes I used to play Magic with way back in like middle school. This one dude always had Story Circles in his white decks. It didn't matter what he was building, there was going to be Story Circle in it. And we were a big multiplayer type crowd, so he always had a reason to use it. Pretty cool.
So he was a paranoid kind of guy.
He was a really paranoid guy. He just needed the ace card in his deck. Which,
I
of
guess
course,
so.
It's not a great card, but in casual multiplayer, when you're 12 years old, it's fantastic. So, what do you think, man? Are we calling or keeping?
On that note of it not being a great card, I have no ties to this card, and would be totally fine culling.
I think we're going to call
Story
it.
Get off my plane.
Circle.
Story Circle's gone.
Culling Story Circle.
I haven't looked up the value of Story Circle in years, literally.
I can't
Maybe
imagine
it's a quarter.
worth anything.
Maybe it's $1. I don't know. Maybe because it's 8th edition and this unique artwork, it's worth $50. I highly doubt it, but
Yeah.
okay, next
too.
white card. Here
Next
we go.
white card. Ooh, Grand Abolisher.
Grand Abolisher.
Yikes. Now this is one, as a control player, I don't want to see anyone play ever. I'd be happy if no one ever played this card.
So you don't like
against me
seeing that
of all
across the
time.
table against you?
No.
Okay.
No.
So 2 mana, 2/2 during your turn. Opponents can't cast spells or activate abilities of artifacts, creatures, or enchantments. So it neuters the control tactics
Neuters,
for interaction.
counters, end of turn drawing, bouncing, all the things I love to
that
do.
you like to do.
Right.
So basically, Grand Abolisher hits the table and Patrick just sits there and cries.
Right. That's what happens.
Okay, now this is one of the Commander editions. I can't remember which Commander that is.
Yes.
So I honestly don't remember what
can't
the OG set is. I am not a white player at all.
No,
It's my least
you're
favorite
not.
color in Magic for sure.
Yep.
Patrick hates the card, so I'm sure he would love to not only cull it but burn it and maybe start a
What?
card burning collection.
I have to override you here. We're keeping this one.
What you talking about, Willis?
As much as I hate playing against it, I would love to play it in the mirror. I love playing this against control. So, and this is just this card will stand the test of time. So we're definitely keeping.
I never would
Grand
have seen
Abolisher.
that. I personally have no opinions on that, so I'm going to resort to
Okay.
this. It's a kind of
right.
a mutual collection of ours, so
Okay.
we're going to go with that. Okay, so we're done with our white cards. We're definitely culling Story Circle. We're keeping Grand Abolisher.
Right.
And what's the next? What are we moving to?
I don't even know what color this is.
I don't
so
either.
We're just
This
gonna
is
pick
totally
up a
randomized.
card here. Ooh.
Okay.
Silence the Believers.
We're into black. So Silence the Believers is back from Theros. 4-mana removal spell. Kind of expensive, but it has this strive
Got the
mechanic.
strive, so it lets you target more than one thing.
Yeah, and of course, if you're a Commander player and you're playing black, or at least mono black, you're probably playing some type of engine to develop some pretty dope mana.
Now,
So it's not unreasonable to suggest that a person could use Silence the Believers to remove 2, 3, or maybe even 4 creatures in a single turn.
right. Now remember, this card came out when Bestow was a very
So
prominent
heroic was big back
which is
then.
why that clause of "and all are" is attached to them is so important.
Yeah.
Which I think becomes less important in something like Commander, where you're playing a bunch more different mechanics, but there are some auras that we all hate, like Rancor, that you would love to silence the believers on.
That you would love to silence.
Exactly.
I'm a Rancor kind of guy. I'd rather have that out. But there is a good point to be made for the Commander thing. Silence the Believers is really nice against like your Voltron type decks. So it's not unreasonable to suggest that it has a place in certain
Steel of
niche
the Godhead
play groups. Yeah, you know.
Yep.
Maybe it's got some use. However, as the black player among the two of us, it's not my favorite. And so I'm actually going to vote to call.
Really?
I'm going to call. Yeah.
I was 50-50, so we'll refer to your expertise
we're gonna
there.
use this bad boy.
All right.
Okay, second black for the
Second
day.
black card. Oh, this is not a black card.
Told you it was randomized.
Let's exchange for a black card here.
Let's see.
And picks Unliving Psychopath. I don't even remember this card.
okay.
You know this guy?
Of course I do.
Okay.
So Unliving Psychopath was back in like old school Ravnica block days, like the first OG Ravnica, which is probably where you started your tournament scene most, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Dissension, Ravnica.
So Unliving Psychopath, 4 mana, 0/4. You can pay 1 to give it +1/-1, so it kind of has like a pseudo Morphling effect going on. But you can also pay a black and tap it to destroy a creature if its power is less than Unliving Psychopath.
Seems bad to me.
Yeah, okay. So on its own right, it's not really that great. But in certain situations where you're leveraging, again, equipment, auras...
Could you do some tap-untap shenanigans
You
with
could
it?
probably do some shenanigans with it. It's derpy, right? Like, we all agree with that. It's one of the least efficient ways to remove a creature. But I think it's a cool card. I will say that. I don't think it'll ever hold value, but I think it's cool. So what do you think? Color keep.
Based on the power of the card, I mean, that's an auto cull for me.
Yeah,
What do you think?
Okay. It's a call.
All right.
But I do, again, I have some fond memories of ripping it. Because remember, in Magic, when you open a pack, you either get value from a financial perspective, or you get value from like the cool perspective. Like there's some really cool cards
Which
that we
can
still
be as
play.
subtle as a flavor text.
Could be as subtle as a flavor text, neat art, but it could also be a card that is just fun to play in a format that you enjoy. You know, like Commander, some cards are a quarter, but they rock in certain deck lists. So, you know, Psychopath is one of those for me. Still think it's worth calling. Okay,
enough.
on to the
I'm
next
cutting
color.
you off from Psychopath already. Here we go. Here we go.
Chancellor of the Tangle.
Remember the Chancellors?
I do remember the Chancellor. So, New Phyrexia.
Yeah.
Maraudin's
That's right.
baby brother.
Yep.
7 mana for a 6/7, and just like all the Chancellors, if you have it in your opening hand, it does something. In this case, it gives you a green to your mana pool. And it's a 6/7 Vigilance Reach. So as a creature, it's not the most efficient dude.
No.
But it was kind
Vigilance
of, I guess...
is always appreciated. So is Reach.
I
Nice
suppose.
evasion on it.
You know, for me, if I'm going to pay 7 mana for a green creature, it's got to do
Slap
better
a
than
Rancor.
Vigilance rank.
Yeah.
For me. However, I think this was kind of their attempt at downplaying Elvish Spirit Guide in a Neo standard scenario. You know, like try to give the person an opportunity to jump that wasn't so predictable.
Right.
Color keep.
I'm calling Cole, man. The whole opening hand thing is cool. I'd rather use it for ley lines.
Yeah,
I was never,
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, something with a little bit more
The Chancellor's never
stomp on it. Okay, Chancellor's got to go.
Okay, cool. Wow, so far we are keeping one.
That tells you how good our collection is, I suppose.
Weather Seed. I always love the coloring on Weather Seed.
Yeah,
It's
so
very bronze.
Urza's
look.
Legacy, cool little story on this.
Yeah, I'm sure you have loads more experience with this card.
Well,
than I
yeah.
do.
So I started when Urza's was a thing. I think actually Urza's Legacy was the new thing. So, and then a couple months after, I was opening packs from Arcadian Masks, but I had a sneak attack deck, and instead of using
Sneak Attack,
really good cards that ended the game, I played a play set of Weatherseed Treefolk because I just thought it was the coolest thing that you could just pay red over and over and just get it back again.
Right.
So I thought, like, I was reading articles as a little 12-year-old kid, like the concept of staying power in a red deck.
That's right. Yeah. Did you have
like
some stack outlets for it though? That'd be nice.
No,
with some
sneak attack
way to
destroyed
pitch
it.
it. No.
You sacrificed it at the end of the turn with sneak attack. So
No, I know, but you might as well get some extra value by stacking it to something.
yeah, but I didn't think that far ahead.
Okay.
I just thought
Fair.
I could play a lot of 5/3s. So I'm gonna say, for nostalgia purposes, I'd like to keep it.
I'm actually feeling a
It's
keep.
a cool, yeah, it's
Let's
a rad
do it.
card.
Let's keep our
All
weather
right,
seat.
next color.
Okay, here
Moving
we go.
from green.
Oh, is this Patrick's favorite color? Is this blue? And it's Aeon Chronicler. I'm telling you right now, I don't care what this guy says. This is a keep. Wow. It costs 4 and X to suspend, and while it's removed, you draw a card each time you remove a counter from it, and then it comes into play, and its power and toughness are equal to the number of cards in your hand. I mean, are you kidding me? Passive card draw, and you get a nice fat body at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think you used to run that in the tournament list back in the day, yeah?
I think so.
Like a 1 of or 2 of.
Dude, on turn 4, when you have a mana rock, suspending Aeon Chronicler for 1, and then having a blocker the next turn, there's nothing better. And I love this card.
Pretty cool.
And
Okay.
who can look at that artwork? That's incredible. This is a keep, yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so we've got 3 keeps and 4 culls so far. All right,
I think
next
the real
card.
question is, can Patrick
The
pitch a
blue
blue
pile.
card? Yeah, exactly. Oh, body double.
We may have found the card he's pitching. So Body Double is a 5 mana 0/0. When it comes into play, you choose a dude. In your graveyard,
In your
if
yard.
you do it, Body Double becomes a copy of that. You're kind of
Does that
flirting
make
with my
you happy?
territory.
As I was
a
going
little
to
bit.
say, as a
Yeah,
black player, does that make you excited?
No, I'm going to tell you why. Because 5 mana for that effect is brutally inefficient.
Right.
I would rather pay a black for a
And
reanimate.
this was Planar Chaos days.
It was Planar Chaos days. Even in Standard back then, this card just didn't hold water. It didn't have the support that it needed, and frankly, at 5 mana, is still too clunky.
I love cloning effects. This one's not for me.
Not
I'm
for
down
me.
to call.
Let's call. We're
Okay.
calling it. Body
All right.
Double is gone.
Yep. Okay. Now on to, this should be red, yeah? Red.
Red. It should be red.
I think it should.
That's what I didn't say.
This is Crimson Hellkite.
Oh, man.
Oh, you sound like you've got some familiarity with this card.
Oh, yeah, of course. So, one of our dearest
Tell
friends
us.
in the world, T, used to run dragons back before dragons was a thing.
That's right.
Crimson Hellkite was that pet card of his that if he drew it for some reason, he was just confident he was going to win.
Really?
Yeah, and this was the actual card. We inherited his collection when he got out of the game.
Right.
This was the actual card from 7th edition that he had so much faith in. It's a 9 mana 6/6. You're like in
Are
any
you
competitive
kidding me?
environment, it's not gonna happen. X tap, it deals X damage to a creature. You can only spend red. Thank goodness he was running mono red dragons.
Right. But this could be one of the last remnants of the original Dragons deck. Are you really going to call that?
Probably not. The artwork is rad.
It is rad.
It's probably a worthless card anyway, so it's not going to do
Look at that
anything
flavor
for
text.
us
The
to sell
Hellkites
it.
are artists with flames painting the world with fire. That's
That
pretty
needs a
mighty.
theme song. Yeah.
We're
I'm gonna
keeping?
keep. Yeah,
Okay,
we're going to keep
keeping.
Crimson Hellkite. Okay.
Last red card.
Last red.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Furnace Dragon. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what does Furnace Dragon do?
5/5 for 9 mana, but it has affinity for artifacts. It's got flying when it comes into play. If you played it from your hand, remove all artifacts from the game.
Yeah,
So, talk about shooting yourself in the toe with this card.
slightly. But I always
Is there
thought
a
it was
redeeming
interesting.
quality here?
Well, the redeeming quality was that it was printed in Darksteel, and anybody who remembers playing during those days remembers how terrible competitive Magic was. It was the most boring competitive environment
Tell us why.
ever. This
Tell us
little
why,
deck called
Cam.
Affinity, right? That everybody remembers who's played Magic for any decent amount of time.
Right.
You either played Affinity
see.
or you played this other green thing that had all of the anti-artifact cards to try to
Sure.
combat it, right?
Sure.
So, which I did find interesting. Furnace Dragon never really caught, if I remember correctly. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but if I remember correctly, it never caught. And I always thought it would be an interesting bomb to try to ramp towards a Furnace Dragon to just shut Affinity down. The
How
problem,
great would that be?
Oh,
all
it
their
feels
artifact
so
lands
delicious.
done.
yeah, that would be so yummy. But the problem is though, you got to take care of 9 mana. So that's 6 artifacts and 3 red to manage.
But Affinity
And-
probably isn't that fast, is it? You could probably get to
Turn
9
fours,
mana
man.
easy, right?
Turn fours,
No?
dude, and standard.
Darn, okay. All
Crazy.
right.
No. I'm voting call.
Cole,
I'm going call. Get out of here.
is this multi-time?
You never would be. What is
Yes,
it?
it
Multi.
is.
Okay, so
Oh,
this is
oh.
kind of the territory.
I can't read that.
So this is a Chinese Lord of Extinction.
Right.
So this is actually from some of your tournament days where I kind of went dark for a bit.
Is
This
that Conflux?
Alara maybe? Shards or Conflux? One of the two. It's from that. No,
Yeah.
no. Conflux had like the spaceship signal, didn't it?
No, we got to look back at our
Yeah, we gotta
symbols.
check it out. Anyway, Lord of Extinction, 3 and green and a black. Power and toughness equal to the number of cards in all yards.
Right.
Remember that?
Yep.
Yeah. So, Chinese version is sitting here. Chinese versions for most people listening are oftentimes less expensive than their English counterparts. I have no answer or idea as to why that's the case, but when we put together our commander decks or we're doing something like that, we're looking for playability only. We're not necessarily looking for value. So we'll often order cards that are less expensive, and sometimes that just means they come in another language. So in this case, in Lord of Extinction's case, I ordered it from Moldrotha.
Right.
Never saw any play. It's
But am I
collected
wrong,
a lot of
or
dust.
is this cool anti-reanimator tech? Even if you're not filling the yard,
Yeah.
if you're playing in a reanimator-heavy environment,
Yep.
might not be bad.
Lord of Extinction is legit. And of course, the classic combo, especially for Commander, Lord of Extinction and Gerard. 'Cause
Right.
You toss
The
them
lit
with
head.
Mhm.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Cool card. Color keep.
I say keep.
I say
I
keep,
like
too.
having this guy around.
Yeah, pretty sweet.
Okay.
All right, second
Black
multicolored card.
Oh, and we have a planeswalker.
Now here,
Nahiri.
pretty sure this Planeswalker matters in Vintage, right? Like this specific one?
Oh, I think we've seen some people draft it in Vintage.
Yeah, I think so. So 4 mana, 4 loyalty, you can +2 or to discard a card and draw a card, which can fuel some engines if you're trying to manipulate the yard at all. You got -2 to exile an enchantment,
Tapped artifact.
tapped artifact or tapped creature, which is kind of an
Right.
odd restriction, but nonetheless, it's still removal on a stick, which is nice. Ultimates don't usually matter. Ultimates very rarely actually happen.
How dare you?
How to watch my mouth,
You
says the
keep
control
clock
player.
spinning those planeswalkers and playing your ultimates.
That's right.
Dreams do come true.
That's right. So she can -8, search the library for an artifact or creature, put it on the battlefield, shuffle the library, gains haste, then you return it to your hand. That's for -8. That just seems underwhelming as all get out. It's disappointingly underwhelming. If I'm going to work that hard to protect a walker to ultimate, I want some better payoff.
I hear you.
That's disappointing. However, the other clauses.
Exactly.
Are
Ping
obviously
ponging
competitive.
+2/-2 to loot and then to exile a soul ring, say.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's really good, man.
That's where you want to be.
Yeah.
I think this is a keep.
That's a keeper.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We play a lot of Eternals, so it's like when you have stuff like that. Okay. So
it.
I think we're
Artie?
getting into the artifacts.
Artie.
Yeah.
Psychosis Crawler.
And that actually looks like it's from one of the, Commander 2020. So this we just pulled, because we always cyclically purchase Commander decks every year, which is a good practice if you're a Commander player. You get a lot of those little staples. 5 mana, his power and toughness are equal to the number of cards in your hand, and then whenever you draw a card, each opponent loses a life. So you can kind of interact with some cantrip type strategies or control strategies where you're dropping X draw spells, Sphinx's Revelation, Stroke of Brilliance, stuff like this. Kind of cool creature.
Art is really cool.
Art is neat. Kind of looks like a giant test tube or
Exactly.
Bunsen burner with some legs on it.
Got a brain floating around a little.
Some juice.
Brain
Brain juice.
Look, underwhelming card.
Underwhelming
Right.
card, for sure.
I would never play this. You
No.
would never play this.
You shouldn't play
This
this.
is a flat call.
It's a call.
Enough said.
All right.
Okay.
We tell you shouldn't play it, and then we're asking somebody to buy it.
No.
Hey, it is what it is.
Oh.
Now this is yummy.
What would be
This is
hilarious
delicious.
right now is if I insisted that we call this, because this might be Cam's most nostalgic
You think so?
card. Tell us about Karn here.
Karn. Yeah, man. So
You love Karn.
Karn Silver Golem, 5 mana, 4/4. Legendary artifact creature. When he blocks or becomes blocked, he gets -4/+4 until end of turn. So he gets harder to kill.
But tell us really why you play them.
This is the delicious part of the card, guys. You pay 1 and target non-creature artifact is an artifact creature with power and toughness equal to its casting cost until end of turn. So obviously you can play an artifact heavy strategy, get Karn on the board, and then all of a sudden you go from 0 to 30 power, you know, really efficiently because you have the mana to do it because you're running artifacts and you're smart and you play lots of healthy rocks.
And really, is there a more satisfying feeling in the world than killing your opponent with mana rocks?
That is delicious. There's a competitive feeling, I would say, killing your opponent with like propagandas. You know, so opalescence would be its kind of coefficient, which of course is from the same block. Always fun. However, I'm going to say a couple of things about this card. You guys can see probably that there's white along every edge because I have played this card
Heavily played.
to heaven and back.
I wouldn't let you ditch it if you wanted to. This is a flat card.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, getting into the lands. Now, I will say this before we get to the lands. But
Okay.
lands for me are always the hardest category to cull from because there's always seemingly use for land.
That's right.
And even in decks where you know you obviously are going to opt for shock lands, crack lands, the more efficient lands, but you always have that deck where this one particular land serves a purpose and it's a free cast. So it's hard for me to cull them.
Give us an example of that last time where you had a land that is face value garbage, but it turned out to work great in this one strategy you're thinking.
Yeah, for sure. So there's the land from Modern Horizons, Cave of Temptation. Is that the one? And it like taps for a colorless. I think it even comes into play tapped. Not super fancy, but you can pay 4, tap and sack it, and give target creature 2/2 +1/+1 counters.
Okay.
So, common land, we probably have 50 of them lying around, but really cool and token strategies just to kind of add that extra layer. And that's another thing.
Sure.
The land slot in your decks often add just that extra layer of reinforcement to the strategy that you're trying to purport. So,
We all love land.
yeah, we all love land. So just be aware of that, guys. We're
Yeah.
probably not going to cull as much in this category.
Yeah.
Could happen.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Let's do it.
All right, what's the first one?
Hostile Desert.
Okay, so this is another one of those Commander 2020 cards that came with the packs. It's a desert, so it counts as a desert. Tap out at colorless. You can pay 2 and exile a land card from your graveyard, and it becomes a 3/4 elemental creature until end of turn.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you,
Elemental is a hot tribe right now.
it's a big hot tribe because of the last couple core sets, and I am a big fan of manlands. You're a big fan of manlands.
We all are.
Yeah. I mean, anybody who plays a
Kidding me?
control type strategy or likes to lean towards those decks loves manlands. One of my favorite deck types of all time is fish, especially the old school style where you drop standstill, manlands, and standstill go together like rice and beans. Just delicious.
On that note,
Steak and grass-fed butter.
I say we keep this guy. Neither you or I have played it yet, but
Good
I
point.
could see playing this someday.
Probably worthless in terms of money too. So there's almost no point in us taking the effort to sell it, but we may end up playing it.
That's right.
Sounds fun.
Keep.
Keep.
Last land and last card.
This
of
is it.
This episode. Are we ready?
Let's do it.
Oh,
You've got some experience with this. Windbrisk Heights. This is the Commander 2020 version as well. I don't know why we keep landing our 2020 stuff, but tell us about this card.
Hideaway is a tech that we all know and love, where it comes into play, you look at the top 4, and you could shelf one away under this land, and then it's got some clause that allows you to play the card here. And in this case, you can pay 1 and tap this thing, and you can play the exiled card if we attacked with 3 or more creatures. So this is very common. Look, you drop 1 Spectral Procession, and next turn you unlock your Windbrisk Heights. It's insane.
Yeah, Hideaway's attack is just a really cool tech. And for me personally, and again, lands just fulfill all those utility slots in a deck. So this is one of those cards that, regardless of where your opinion is, I'm going to go for keep.
No, are you kidding me?
Because, now, granted, I will
It's
never
the
play
easiest
this
keep
card.
in my life. Oh, don't worry then. I will. And what's cool, bouncing this land, recasting.
Yeah, he's
Let's do
all
it.
about the white
Value.
splash.
Yes.
I understand that we have to have a 5th color to balance Magic, but white is just, oh god.
So let's take a look at let's survey our final list here. These are the keeps, and these are the cold.
The kept in the cold. We should make a
kept
shirt.
in the cold.
The kept in the cold.
The keeps and the kept in the cold and the cold.
Ben Dotson.
And Dugan. All right.
Thanks for joining us for our very first episode of Keep or Cull. This is a lot of fun. Again, this is Cam and Boo. I don't think I introduced ourselves as Cam and Boo. I'm Cameron, this is Patrick. Everybody calls us Cam and Boo.
We've got a ton of rares to go through, and you're going to get to hear all of our wacky stories and memories about these cards, and we will keep in cull until only the finest remain.
Yes, and we've got a lot of other content coming to you guys. We're going to be cracking Double Masters boxes, and we're going to make this a habit to open a lot of new stuff on camera for you guys. So if you guys enjoyed this, make sure that you help us out by subscribing.
Give us the like.
Give us the like.
And certainly comment if you agree with our keys, if you disagree with our keys.
Either way, we want to hear from you. And share this with your buds. We want to make this a community thing. We'd like to contribute what we can to the health and the growth of our Magic community that we all know and love.
Absolutely.
With that, guys, have an amazing rest of your wherever you're at.
Until next time.